So if you look at this class, comrade, now, if you compare it to the 80s, there's still important organizations, so we must not overlook that. Very important, TAC, comrades that are fighting elsewhere, the mine workers strike. But if you compare historically as a class, this class has been more demobilized now than they were in the 80s. And I'll get to what happens then. So there are divisions. So some people do still have faith in the ANC, that's fine. They believe that.
Yes.
Some people also, they're ideologically weakened. The media plays a huge role now. This class has become much stronger because they've got new allies that can say the system is justified. They can say, look, Ramaphosa's up there. Anyone can get up there. But they forget that if you're from here, it's very difficult to move up individually. It's very difficult. You can get better education sometimes. Most people can't. It's very difficult to escape this by individual means.
So
It's
South
deliberate.
Africa is the animal farm.
Yeah, there's another one. So comrades, yeah, so this class actually gets more demobilized. So some people think, we'll send our comrades into the state, they'll help us. The comrades turn around and they don't help you. Some people say, well, they betrayed us. But did they? Because they got into their class, new class, and they might not even see it as betrayal, but what they've done is they've joined their class and they defend their class. And a lot of the features of apartheid for these comrades down here hasn't changed. For comrades that have moved up, it's changed. But for comrades that are down here, this thing hasn't changed that much. You don't have pass laws that are humiliated, but you're still either unemployed or paid low wages.
You are still getting grant.
We'll get onto this now, comrade. So, yeah, one of the grants thing, the grants was rolled out because this was a threat in the 80s. They thought, fine. Even a part of the deal, they thought we'll give something because we don't want this rising up. So they do give, but that was because of the power of this. But what happens, comrades, is because we're more demobilized than in the 80s, we're not defenses, we've got organizations still, yeah. So,
Okay. Sorry if I'm offending someone, but we need to speak truth to power. One of the biggest challenges that we have in South Africa, and it can also give us problems, is the patriarchal system that we have in South Africa. Because men, they don't want women to be in positions. And it did happen even now. If you look at Zuma's cabinet, all 6 provinces beside this one, all provinces, the premiers are men. All premiers are men. And even from the top 5 of them, they are men. It needs us as women, because we can do things as women. It needs us to stand up and fight for our rights. Because they are saying we do have 50-50 in the organizations, but when it comes to implementation, it's like we are singing a song of Marikana.
Yeah.
As long we don't want to stand up as people, challenge this system, because it's there. And each and every time we talk about these issues, but it's depend on who is going to start the issue. But Sana, as long as in a patriarchal system in South Africa, we are going nowhere.
I think the comments got a very good point. So within
These
our
guys
organizations,
are too much belongs to someone.
I don't mean to oppose, but I'm against Mrs. Manesh in that idea of taking the lead as a woman. Those are the divisions that kept the working class in the same position, because they are fighting over the position, because they are not fighting as a class, they are fighting in genders, they are fighting in different ways, but so they keep on the divisions. So I'm not sure whether the media has the impact on it or what is happening. But I think those are the divisions that won't take us anywhere.
yeah. Okay, come on, I'm going to try, because we don't have much time, so I'm going to try to answer the thing here. Try to give some direction. When you look at the working class, Okay, and we're not talking about the upper class. We can get to that just now. But women in the working class that are doing the same job as a man, exactly the same job, on average get paid 20% less.
Exactly.
So the burden of actually reproducing, it sounds bad, but labor falls usually on women. I'm not saying in every house, but as a trend. And it tends to be within our organization, sometimes women are sidelined. We have to address that because they are part of our class, comrades. We can't leave 50% of people behind. But there's also a warning in that you can have a woman up here in this system, she will carry out the ruling class's agenda. You know anyone heard of Margaret Thatcher?
Yeah, I know that.
She was the worst person. She went into the top of the state and she broke this class in England. She smashed it. So we have to have a nuanced thing where we don't just say, look, okay, if we change the men for women at the top of this thing, it's not going to work because they will carry out class rule combat. So we need to also, within our class, make sure we have equality amongst men and women. But we can't think the idea that if we send a woman to president or she becomes a capitalist, she'll do anything different. Because Helen Zille doesn't do anything different. Margaret Thatcher doesn't do anything different.
But it depends
Charles
on the support.
Nkulu's wife who owns mines does not do anything different.
Son,
Yeah.
it depends on the support that you get. If ever you are working as an island, you isolate yourself, then you won't get any support. But if you are in the center and then you circulate umsebenzi, you can get support. The issue Abba, is that these people, they want to be bosses. If you can just take out that word and then we move to a direction of ESACP, although I know it's very difficult in South Africa. But Sana, if you are in the center and then you grab everything alone, you are.
All right, comments, we're going to turn back to this next week. So we're going to look at examples in South Africa's history in more in depth of how we challenge this. So we're going to return to that. We're going to return to what the comrade wants to talk about. We're going to look at other places as well where this class has posed a threat very deeply to that class. We're going to look at that, where you've had revolutions or near revolutions. So we'll return to that. But comrades, I want to get back to the point that when these people found new allies, and this class was demobilized after 1994, this class launched an attack. So what they did was they rolled back many of the gains that were made in the 80s. So amongst workers, especially the black working class, when you look after 1994, wages in real terms don't rise. They stay with inflation, so they start pushing wages down again. They do it by various means. They break up workplaces, so workplaces were organized in order to demobilize workers. They then make some people casual, some people outsourced, labor brokers. Yeah, so they start breaking up the organizations to that as well. They start restructuring work, so then it's harder. Now you think, do we go, I'm permanent, he's casual, she's casual, I don't know, do we
He's a
even
volunteer,
unite around that? I'm a
permanent
volunteer,
staff.
I'm permanent staff. So comrades, they start doing that. What they also do is they give themselves back more money. So even under apartheid, these people had to pay a tax rate, or certainly capitalist corporations, of 48% in 1994. The state passes legislation that now says these people have to pay only 28%. So they actually even don't, it has major impact. What they also do is the housing. If you take the quality of housing that was delivered in the 1980s, because this class was mobilizing, it was better than now. So your matchbox becomes an RDP. There's more of them, but they're not quality housing. It's because this class is under attack, and it has important organizations, but it's not what it was in the 80s. What else happens, comrades? We're going to go into all of this. I don't know how much time we have. We're going to go into next week. We're going to look at some of all of these policies that they push. They do all sorts of things. So, comrades, if you take what they do, we'll get it into next week. Privatization, we're going to look what it is. They decide they're capping budgets. They're not going to spend as much as they even did in the 80s on the working class. They do this because they feel empowered. They're having good times. They also have cost recovery. They introduce a system of cost recovery, and we'll get into that next week. So they pass a whole lot of policies, and we'll look at more next week, because they actually feel they have more power now, because they have some legitimacy, because they are now aligned with some ex-comrades. So comrades, we're going to maybe next week also consider we're going to challenge this, it's going to have to come from our organization. So how do we strengthen our organizations? How do we reach out to more people in the class? Just we can have ideas, etc. So it's important to realize in society this can be challenged actually, and it has been many, many times. But for that to happen, this class has to be organized, militant, and they have to broadly know what they want. They can disagree over some stuff, but over important stuff we need a type of unity. And the unity only comes in struggles.